Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. The top headlines tonight. The income tax is currently surveying BBC offices in India. The 8-hour survey which began at 11:30 a.m. still on at offices in Delhi and Mumbai. The income tax survey is coming just after a controversial BBC documentary series on Prime Minister Modi. The income tax, however, says they are investigating a persistent non-compliance of rules by the BBC. The BJP attacks the BBC, saying it's a hushed bakwas corporation, while the opposition says the timing of the income tax action is clearly linked to the documentary series. Home Minister Amit Shah says that there's no competition to the BJP and the Prime Minister in the 2024 elections. Asked about the BBC documentary and the Hindenburg report, he says they've been after the Prime Minister since 2002. Each time he's emerged stronger. We have nothing to hide or be afraid of. The Congress says, why not order JPC? There's nothing to hide. Prime Minister Modi and French President Macron at a mega Tata Airbus aircraft deal for Aero India. The Tatas ordered 250 jets from the Europe's Airbus group. Prime Minister Modi says this acquisition part of a plan for India to be the third largest aviation market in the world. As Macron points out that the deal highlights the strategic partnership between the two countries. Another huge deal by Tata is expected to be announced with Boeing soon. Markets up by 1% today as wholesale inflation eases. Markets also up as Adani Enterprises declares a strong Q3 profit. The shares of Adani Enterprises up. In a statement, Gautam Adani says the current market volatility of Adani shares is temporary. Well, Nikki Haley, daughter of Indian immigrants, announces her bid for the US presidency 2024. The 51-year-old is the first Republican to announce her bid as a challenge to ex-President Trump. Born to Indian immigrants, Nikki was born Nimrata, Nikki Randhawa. Nikki Haley now ready to run for American president. And all the highs at the Aero India show with these spectacular displays. Our lead story tonight, well, it's 8 o'clock and the survey is being carried out by the Income Tax Department in the BBC offices in both Delhi and Mumbai are still on. In fact, latest reports say the survey could carry on till tomorrow as well. BBC employees were asked to put all their phones into a box when the income tax officials arrived at 11:30 this morning. Their computers were also searched. Sunil Prabhu has the latest. Sunil, of course, the opposition is pointing out the fact that this comes just a month after the controversial docu-series aired by the BBC on Prime Minister Modi. The income tax has a different explanation.
That's right. Their explanation is that there's been non-compliance from the BBC authorities on transfer pricing as well as sharing of profit. And it's in that backdrop that on the 5th and 6th floor of the building behind me, they have been conducting the survey. There's been a big debate between survey, search and raiding. But what we have been told is that they have been working extensively on the 6th floor with the admin as well as the finance team to get all those queries and those non-compliance that they had asked from the BBC authorities, which they hadn't got, looking forward to get that kind of information from them. Having said that, the BBC authorities have also reached out to all their staff and have requested those who are not in their offices to work from home. They have started with their production, which is the day-to-day operation as a media corporation. But having said that, they have also asked them to refrain and commenting on the present episode in the social media or any other forum.
No, and of course, we've seen that the INB minister has just said that no one is above the law in reference to the BBC. But of course, this coming in the context that the BBC is one of the most respected media networks in the world. And UK government sources have also told NDTV that they are looking at the survey operations being currently carried out against the BBC. Let's just look at the top highlights of today.
इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट
आईटी डिपार्टमेंट से
चलो आप लोग फोन रखो इधर
आराम से तो बात करो यार
फोन गेट खुलवा रहे हैं आप तब से 10 मिनट से गेट कौन खुलवा रहे हैं आप लोग
ऐसे बिना वारंटी गेट खोलेंगे
वारंट आपको पता है वारंट सील हो चुका है देखा हुआ वारंट तब अंदर किया इट्स ओके
आराम से तो बात करो
An argument between BBC employees and income tax officials as the IT department carried out what it insisted was a survey at BBC offices in New Delhi and Mumbai, weeks after the British public broadcaster aired a documentary critical of Prime Minister Modi over the 2002 Gujarat riots when Mr. Modi was the Chief Minister of that state.
The BBC's offices are located on the 5th and 6th floor of this building, and the focus after this early morning visit from the income tax authorities has been to quiz them on the issue of non-compliance on transfer pricing issues as well as sharing of profits.
In a statement, tax officials said the survey was over non-compliance of transfer pricing rules and that any seized phones or laptops would be returned. The IT department said, and I quote, "In the case of BBC, there has been persistent non-compliance with the above-mentioned rules for years. As a result of the same, several notices have been issued to the BBC. However, the BBC has been continuously defiant and non-compliant and has significantly diverted their profits." The BBC put out this social media statement saying they hope to resolve the situation soon. Sources said the BBC also sent a memo to staff asking those not in office to stay away and those at work to not panic, reportedly saying, "We are handling the situation."
भारत के कानून को मानना होगा, उसका पालन
The ruling BJP ripped into the BBC for what it called venomous, shallow and agenda-driven reporting.
अगर कुछ गलत किया नहीं है, कानून का पालन किया है, तो फिर डर कैसा, फिर चिंता कैसी? ये कहना आज गलत नहीं होगा। बीबीसी के अगर कृत्य देखें, जिसके उदाहरण मैं आपके समक्ष अभी पेश करूंगा, तो ये पूरे विश्व की सबसे भ्रष्ट बकवास कॉर्पोरेशन हो गई है।
The opposition accused the government of targeting the BBC for being critical of the Prime Minister. In this tweet, Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav said the Modi government stood for fear and oppression. Many other opposition leaders also called the IT survey vindictive.
विश्व में पहली बार बीबीसी के 100 साल के इतिहास में उन पर इस प्रकार की कोई छापामारी और रेड हुई है। और उनका कसूर क्या था? उन्होंने एक गुजरात के दंगों की डॉक्यूमेंट्री बनाई थी।
Last week, the Supreme Court rejected a request for a complete ban on the BBC in India over the Gujarat riots documentary, calling the petition entirely misconceived.
इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट चलो आप लोग कौन रखते?
With Sohit Mishra, Sunil Prabhu and Mukesh Sengar, Alok Pandey, NDTV.
And in an interview to Smita Prakash of ANI, before these surveys happened, the Home Minister Amit Shah, when asked of the BBC documentary and the Hindenburg report and whether the BJP felt this was a conspiracy, said that they have been after the Prime Minister since 2002. Each time he emerges stronger. He also said that we have nothing to hide or be afraid of regarding the Congress allegations of links between the Prime Minister and the Adani Group.
प्रधानमंत्री राजस्थान गए थे। अब राजस्थान, छत्तीसगढ़, कर्नाटका और मध्य प्रदेश, ये 4 बहुत बड़े राज्य हैं जहां पर चुनाव होने वाले हैं। आप थोड़ा सा ब्रेक डाउन करके हमें बता सकते हैं कि राजस्थान में क्या आप देख रहे हैं एक चेंज, जैसे आपने पलट का कहा था?
राजस्थान, कर्नाटक, राजस्थान, छत्तीसगढ़ और मध्य प्रदेश भारतीय जनता पार्टी के मजबूत राज्य हैं। हम चारों जगह पे जीतेंगे।
प्रद्युत जी जो है वो तिपरा मोथा की तरफ से वो बहुत किंग मेकर जैसे उनका इमेज बन गया है कि अगर हंग असेंबली होते हैं तो वो किंग मेकर बनेंगे। मीडिया भी उनकी तरफ क्यूरियोसिटी
हंग बननी ही नहीं है, फिर क्या है कोई इस विषय का चर्चा करे। हंग नहीं बननी है, पूर्ण बहुमत के साथ भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार काउंटिंग के दिन आप देख लीजिएगा 12 बजे के पहले क्योंकि यहाँ कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसियां छोटी हैं, 12 बजे के पहले पूर्ण बहुमत से भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार बन जाएगी।
वो कहते हैं कि जो हम तो अब पार्लियामेंट में, संसद में बोल भी नहीं सकते क्योंकि हमारे शब्द भी एक्सपंज किए जाते हैं।
नहीं, पहली बार एक्सपंज नहीं हो रहे
जी।
पार्लियामेंट के प्रोसीडिंग्स एक्सपंज शब्दों और वाक्यों से भरा पड़ा है। पार्लियामेंट के रूल्स के हिसाब से बहस का स्थान है, और जब रूल्स के हिसाब से बहस करनी है तो पार्लियामेंट्री लैंग्वेज में करनी पड़ती है।
कोई कंस्पिरेसी है सर, जैसे बीबीसी का डॉक्यूमेंट्री हो या फिर ये सब ये हिंडनबर्ग का रिपोर्ट हो, क्या आप भी ऐसे देखते हैं कि ये कोई
देखिए सत्य जो होता है इस पर 1000 कॉन्स्पिरेसी कर लो, कुछ नहीं होता है। वो करोड़ों सूर्य की भांति तेजस्वी बनकर ही बाहर आता है। ये तो मोदी जी के पीछे 2002 से कर रहे हैं और हर बार मोदी जी मजबूत होकर सच्चे बनकर और जनता की ज्यादा लोकप्रियता हासिल कर बाहर आए हैं।
सिद्धरामैया जी और डीके शिव कुमार कह रहे हैं कि आप अमित शाह जी और मोदी जितनी बार भी आए, कर्नाटका के लोगों ने तय कर लिया है कि बीजेपी की सरकार नहीं आएगी इस बार।
चलिए वो तो ऐसा ही कहेंगे, हमारे लिए अच्छा नहीं कहेंगे क्योंकि हमारे सामने वो चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं। मगर कर्नाटक के अंदर पूर्ण बहुमत की भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार बनने जा रही है। मैं कर्नाटक 4 बार गया हूं विगत 2 महीने, 5 बार गया हूं विगत 2 महीनों में। मैं आपको बताता हूं, मैंने जनता की पल्स देखी है, नरेंद्र मोदी जी की लोकप्रियता देखी है। वहां पर बहुत बड़ा मैंडेट भारतीय जनता पार्टी को मिलने जा रहा है।
2024 को लेकर आप समझते हैं, क्या आप ऑलरेडी एक एजेंडा लेकर चल रहे हैं कि 2024 के इलेक्शन के लिए क्या मुद्दा होगा बीजेपी के लिए, क्या मैसेजिंग होगा?
मैं मानता हूं कि 2024 में कहीं कोई स्पर्धा नहीं है। देश एक तरफा मोदी जी के साथ आगे बढ़ रहा है।
सर, जहां पर आप ऑपोजिशन की पार्टीज पर परिवारवाद का आरोप लगाते हैं, वहीं कांग्रेस जो है अब आप पर, आपकी पार्टी पर, आप पर नहीं, आपकी पार्टी पर मित्रता का आरोप लगा रही है कि मित्र, बीजेपी के जो मित्र हैं, अडानी जी के बारे में कहा जाता है कि उनको सभी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स मिल रहे हैं और बीजेपी जो है उनका जो डिफेंस है वो इतना नहीं है, इतना स्ट्रांग नहीं है।
परंतु इसमें बीजेपी के लिए कुछ छुपाने को नहीं है और ना किसी बात से डरने की जरूरत।
जो इदारे हैं, जो सिस्टम है, उनके बारे में भी कहा जाता है कि कांग्रेस कहती है कि बीजेपी ने सारे सिस्टम्स को अपने कब्जे में ले लिया, इसलिए कोई इंक्वायरी नहीं होगी, कोई इन्वेस्टिगेशन नहीं हो सकती।
कोर्ट में जाए ना, कोर्ट में नहीं जाते हैं। मैंने तो पेगासिस में भी कहा था आपके पास प्रूफ है तो आप कोर्ट में चले जाइए, ना गए। वो सिर्फ शोर शराबा करना चाहते हैं। कोर्ट तो हमारे कब्जे में नहीं है। जो लोग गए, पेगासिस का संज्ञान भी लिया था, कोर्ट ने जजमेंट भी दे दिया, कुछ जांच भी कर ली।
Excerpts from the Home Minister's interview there, and the opposition has reacted strongly to the interview by the Home Minister.
अगर कोई छिपाने की बात नहीं है, जैसा कि दावा कर रहे हैं हमारे गृह मंत्री, तो जेपीसी की मांग से क्यों भाग रहे हैं? हमें उठाने ही नहीं दे रहे हैं लोकसभा में और राज्यसभा में। हालांकि जब भी हम जेपीसी की मांग करते हैं तो हमारे हम जो बोलते हैं, राहुल जी ने कुछ कहा है, खड़गे जी ने कुछ कहा है, मैंने कुछ कहा है, दिग्विजय सिंह जी ने कुछ कहा है, सबको एक्सपंज करा जाता है। तो अगर कोई छिपाने की कोई बात नहीं है, जैसा कि वो कह रहे हैं, तो जेपीसी की मांग स्वीकारिए ना।
எதிர்க்கட்சிகளை பழிவாங்குறேன்னு நாடாளுமன்றத்தில் முதல் முறையா ஒரு பிரதமரை ஒப்புக்கொண்டிருக்கிறார். இது நாட்டுக்கு நல்லதில்லை, தன்னாட்சி அமைப்புகளுக்கு நல்லதில்லை, ஜனநாயகத்திற்கு நல்லதில்லை.
And in other news, markets today gained nearly 1%. The rupee remained above 82, however, to the dollar. The Nifty gaining 158 points, the Sensex gaining 600 points. This coming as FMCG shares gained the most as wholesale inflation eased to a 2-year low of 4.73% in January versus 4.95% in December. Also driving the markets today were the strong profits released by the Q3 results of Adani Enterprises, which bounced back to profit, a consolidated net profit at 820 crores versus a loss of 11.6 crores year on year. The revenue was up 41%. The stock of Adani Enterprises also jumped post the strong Q3 earnings. However, larger Adani Group stocks closed mixed today. Chairman Gautam Adani's statement said our success is due to our strong governance and strict regulatory compliance, adding that it's also because of sustained performance and solid cash flow generation, and that current market volatility is temporary. Well, today, Prime Minister Modi and Francis Macron were there to witness a mega Tata Airbus aircraft deal for Air India. It's one of the largest deals in aviation history, with the Tatas ordering 250 jetliners from the Airbus group. Prime Minister Modi said India will soon become the third largest aviation market, for which at least 2,000 new aircraft are needed. AFP has also reported that Air India is all set to buy 220 Boeing aircraft as well.
Air India 173 Heavy established ILS 28 right.
Part one of a historic deal by the Tata Group to revamp Air India completely. A whopping 250 jetliners from the Airbus Group worth more than $50 billion. A deal announced by the Tata chairman in the presence of Prime Minister Modi and President Macron, both of whom said that this was a highlight of the strategic partnership between France and India.
भारत एविएशन सेक्टर में विश्व का तीसरा सबसे बड़ा मार्केट बनने जा रहा है। कई आकलनों के अनुसार भारत को अगले 15 वर्षों में 2000 से अधिक विमानों की आवश्यकता होगी।
The deal with Airbus will be for 40 ultra-long-haul A350 jetliners, which will redefine the travel experience between India and destinations in the US and Europe. 210 narrow-body aircraft of the A320 Neo family, which already serve destinations within India and the Middle East.
This achievement shows that Airbus and all its French partners, including Safran, are fully dedicated to develop new areas of cooperation with India, and we've achieved so much with India. And I think this is particularly important in this very year where India has the presidency of the G20, and I want to do my best to make this presidency a success. This very important contract and this achievement today is one of the milestones of the in-depth strategic and friendly partnership we have between India and France.
Air India, one of the first airlines in the world to introduce jet aircraft, was widely considered among the finest airlines in the world in the 60s and 70s. That reputation suffered after it was taken over by the government when service standards collapsed. With the airline back with the Tatas, the hope is that Air India will again be one of the world's leading airlines.
We on our part are going through a massive transformation because we are committed to building a world-class airline known for safety, on-time performance, the best of Indian hospitality and modern fleet, and a wholesome experience for every passenger, whether they are in the front row or in the last row.
But the deal with Airbus, though huge by any standards, is just one part of the world's largest order for civilian aircraft. With Boeing as the other partner, Air India will be a massive international carrier, perhaps replacing the Gulf carriers as the favored choice for flights out of India. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
And as Vishnu just reported, this is the biggest civilian aircraft deal for aircraft, both Airbus and Boeing, as it's now adding up to over 400 planes, all for a new revamped Air India. Meanwhile, the other big headline coming out, and Maha joins us on that, is that Republican Nikki Haley has announced her White House bid for 2024. And why India is watching closely, of course, is because Nikki Haley was born as Nimrata Randhawa. Here's her announcement of a bid, and then coming back to you, Maha, for a little bit of details on who exactly she is and why India should care.
It's time for a new generation of leadership to rediscover fiscal responsibility, secure our border, and strengthen our country, our pride, and our purpose.
So Nikki Haley there, the first Republican challenger to ex-President Trump. So could she be the first woman in the White House? And for India, of course, the first possible US president of Indian origin. Tell us about Nikki Haley, Maha.
Well, Nikki Haley is the daughter of Indian immigrants, and in her announcement today, the video that she's put out, she talks about that. She also talks about how her parents told them every day how grateful they should be to be part of America. She also talks about the values that her Indian parents instilled in her. But of course, the big story here is that after, yes, Rishi Sunak, who's taken the top job in the UK, can Nikki Haley do that in America, where at the moment chances look slightly slim, but she has a long way to go. Of course, there'll be primaries, then the caucuses, and then the national convention, after which a Republican candidate will be chosen. But some of the early surveys show us that she's still lagging behind. The preferred candidate still is Donald Trump as far as the Republicans are concerned, followed by DeSantis and then Mike Pence and Nikki Haley. At least two such surveys suggest that. Also interestingly, Sonia, Nikki Haley did speak to Donald Trump earlier this month when she was thinking about making her bid for the presidential nominee for the Republicans. And this is what Donald Trump told her: go by what your heart tells you.
Right, and as you said, Maha, her heart has told her to stand, even though the surveys are showing her behind at the moment. But of course, for India, it's a proud moment as members of the larger Indian diaspora, Rishi Sunak, British Prime Minister, and of course, Nikki Haley, daughter of Indian immigrants, making a bid for the White House. Well, other news coming out of America, and this is really tragic news, especially given the fact that so many Indian students now studying in America, so a huge concern for Indian parents, is firing on the main campus of the prestigious Michigan State University in America. 3 people were killed.
This now deceased man in red shoes and jacket and wearing a baseball cap is the main suspect in the fatal shooting of 3 people at the Michigan State University in the US on Monday night. The police said 5 others were taken to hospital, some of them with life-threatening injuries.
We were quickly on scene within minutes, and there we did locate several victims of a shooting. The incident did move to a building in close proximity, the Michigan State University Union building, where there was another report of a shooting immediately following the first incident.
The police said the gunman, a 43-year-old man, eventually died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It's not clear why he carried out the shooting.
That will be part of this investigation in terms of what type of weapon was used. We do not have that information at this time.
Mass shootings have become alarmingly common in the US, with 648 incidents reported in 2022, only slightly less than the 690 reported in 2021. With Alok Pandey, Sneha Koshi for NDTV.
Sad news there for the families of those killed. Well, aviation was our big headline tonight, but also let's just look at the highlights of Asia's largest air defense show. That's happening currently in Bengaluru, all the highs of Aero India.
Helicopter is designed to remain rock steady on straight line with minimal vibrations, making it an ideal platform for better delivery. Ladies and gentlemen, right in front of you, the light combat helicopter spawns of the heavyweight.
That's it for now on the news.